The truth is that faith and belief are non-issues for me. In a very loose sense, I suppose you could say I believe indiscriminately. Ghosts, bleeding statues, alien abductions, cattle mutilations, crop circles, prophecy, demonic possession, whatever. I let all that stuff in practically unfiltered because it's more fun that way and because I have no reason not to. I mean, if you view dualistic reality as a dream, which I do, no discrimination is really called for. Where do you draw the line in a dream? It's all good. Nothing of importance to me hinges on how I view such things, so I just view them. So you're going to try to completely tap dance around the question? She asks with a twinkle of amusement. Yeah, well, I was kind of hoping, I reply with schoolboy charm. Well, toughen up, mister, she says through gritted teeth. I'm a hardcore journalist, and I want straight answers. We both laugh, but as I watch her, it becomes more apparent that she's not as together as she was the last time we spoke. She seems to be jittery. She's obviously not well rested, but it's more than that. She's slightly frazzled. She's doing well with it and handling the interview nicely, but it's there, just beneath the surface. She's on the edge of something, but of what? Well, the real answer is that I no longer possess belief or faith in the way you mean. The question simply doesn't apply. Like if I asked you if you prefer antler wax or antler cream. I might say that I don't believe in belief, but that's a little cutesy, albeit accurate. I think of belief and faith as being ways of dealing with things you can't know for sure, and I am not involved in not knowing for sure. Homie, don't play that. I don't have any gaps I need filled. I should point out that this isn't peculiar to me. This would be the stock response you'd get from anyone in my situation. By situation, you mean fully enlightened? Well, there's no partial enlightenment. But yeah, anyone who knows what I know would say the same thing. Belief and faith aren't factors in enlightenment. I mean, I have beliefs, I suppose, as anyone must. That's why the answer isn't a simple yes or no. I have beliefs regarding personal reality and the afterlife and whatever else we can't see within the dream, so that we have to use imagination and intelligence to tell us what's there. But none of that has any bearing whatsoever on enlightenment. I'm rambling now. That's what I do when I try to answer questions I shouldn't mess with, questions that don't really translate well. Don't translate how? From an unenlightened person to an enlightened one? And back again. Yes, kind of. Enlightenment is comprehensive. It's an entirely different paradigm. My reality is not your reality. All the rules are different. It's like I speak a different language altogether. And the reason we can communicate at all is because I used to speak your language, and I remember a little of it. Less every day, it seems. Is that getting across at all? I'm not saying it well. Actually, she reassures me, it's very interesting. So, if another enlightened person were here right now, you and he could understand each other perfectly well? Damn. I'm watching an analogy meltdown. Yes, sort of, theoretically. He and I could speak the same tongue, but it wouldn't happen. There wouldn't be anything to say. I played both sides of a mock conversation to illustrate. It'd be like, "Hi, how's it going?" "Good, thanks. How about you?" "Oh yeah, fine. How's the enlightenment thing working out for you?" "Oh, real good, thanks. Really getting a kick out of it. You?" "Oh, same, yeah, real pleased." She's giggling now, amused by my little performance. There's just nothing to say. Caterpillars may talk to each other, but butterflies don't. It's like, you know how vampires are? Oh, vampires again, she says. No, I don't know any personally. Well, the thing about vampires is you never see them hanging out together. That's because they don't really bond well. They don't desire each other's company or anyone else's. That's just the way of it. It's a solo deal. Nature of the beast. You have a real thing for vampires. Yeah, I need all the help I can get talking about this stuff. But back to the original question. Wouldn't an enlightened Zen master believe in Zen? Wouldn't an enlightened Sufi believe in Islam? You're talking about vehicles and destinations. Once one has arrived at the destination, the vehicle is discarded, forgotten. If I take a train to Chicago, I get off the train and enjoy Chicago. I don't drag the train around behind me. It did its job. I don't need it anymore. Of course, if one is going to turn back and help others with their journeys, then he would rely on the vehicle he knows, which, in your case, many vehicles. The kitchen window faces north and provides a wide view of the clouds as they make their easterly trek. This cold front has brought with it an astounding range of cloud shapes so varied that simply by going outside and turning around, we can enjoy majestic and varied panoramas in all directions. Storms brewing in the west and raging to the south. Mountainous white cloud formations so massive and looming that there is an almost surreal imminence to them. From the kitchen window, of course, we can't see in all directions, but what we can see is stunning. Julie startles me by leaning in close and speaking into my collar. "What do you want?" I look at her, trying to gauge the intent of the question. Seeing my confusion, she holds her notes up for me to see. Right there, question 14. What does Jed want? It's still not clear to me what she means, but the answer is probably the same no matter how the question is interpreted. I don't want anything. I don't want. Her eyes go wide. I knew you were going to say that. I've been thinking about it for days, and I just can't put it together. How can you not want anything? What does that even mean? What is life without desires, goals, dreams? Don't you have aspirations? Isn't there something you'd like to achieve or some quality you'd like to possess? It seems like life is all about expanding and attaining, moving toward the next thing, ambition, growth, conquest. You can't mean that you... I'm not even sure how to say it. You don't want anything? You have to want something? I'm amused by her perplexity. Well, I might want a cup of coffee or some new video game or something, but there's nothing in any larger sense that I want. World peace? She tries. The liberation of all sentient beings? Fame and fortune? Power? Prestige? Wealth? Adulation? Your own island? Six-pack abs? Compose a symphony? Dinner with the Buddha? There must be something that drives you, something you want. I answer through my laughter. Sorry to be so bland, but no, nothing. Well, maybe the abs. I don't have to wish for possessions because I have a pretty good idea of how the universe works, and my wishes are fulfilled practically before I know I wish them. World peace and the liberation of sentient beings would indicate a belief on my part that something was wrong or that something needs fixing. And I'm not capable of any such belief. I'm certainly not a bodhisattva or a satguru, as I understand those terms. The other things you mentioned are just, well, outer adornments. They would have no meaning to anyone in my situation. You say it that way. Anyone in your situation, because, to make it clear that we're really not talking about me, but any awakened being. These things I'm saying aren't special facets of Jed McKenna. They'd be true of anyone who is awake. And when you say outer adornments, you're saying, what? That power and prestige, wealth, adulation, six-pack abs, sure, whatever defines us, however we describe ourselves, think of ourselves, project ourselves, every feature, trait, characteristic, feeling, belief, opinion, all of it, selfness. It's all just, like, worthless? Is that what you're saying? Like, a person is just a costume? A costume, yes. Worthless is redundant in a game without stakes. So the costume is the false self. She makes it a statement. Again, redundant, because there's no true self. But yes, the costume represents the fictional self, ego. We erect ego to compensate for the lack of direct self-knowledge. Lack of perception of true self is translated by the individual as non-existence of true self. In other words, because true self is unseen, it's assumed not to exist. Can't see it, so it must not be there. Well, can't see it because it's not there. There is no true self to perceive. There's only false self and no self. One looks for true self and finds nothing, as if one's true self was no truth at all. Which it kind of is. Isn't that what you're saying? Yes, and it's the dread of that nothingness that keeps one's attention outwardly fixed. I use the term dread to denote that we're talking about a vague, faceless quality. Not many people actually put a name to it. They seldom come right out and say that deep down inside they feel insubstantive or without basis. Those that do stand a good chance of being medicated or institutionalized. But what about when people explore their inner selves, make journeys of self-discovery? Aren't they going within to find the truth? They're just exploring the ego, making a study of the false self, which is a life quest as valid as any other. But you don't wake up by perfecting your dream character. You wake up by breaking free of it. There's no truth to the ego, so no degree of mastery over it results in anything true. Putting attention on the ego merely reinforces it. The tape recorder snaps off, so we pause while Julie puts in a fresh tape. When she's ready, I continue. This actually gets kind of interesting if you want to understand people better, understand what motivates them, why they do what they do. The deepest truth of any person is no person. One may insist otherwise with every thought and feeling, but that doesn't change the truth. It's not fear of death that drives humans. It's fear of non-being, oblivion. I know that I'm all over the road with this, and the apparent contradictions are piling up, but it's a fun topic to play with, and I have a pretty good sense that we're in the ballpark of what I should be saying to Julie at this point. For instance, shame. The underlying cause of all shame is the deep and unshakable suspicion that I am an imposter. I sense the absence of true self in myself, but not in others, so I naturally assume others to be real. Seeing the outer shells everyone else has so convincingly erected, and not knowing them to be hollow, I necessarily feel singularly fraudulent and, of course, shameful. Oh, geez, I'm trying to follow this. So, someone, say me, so I don't have the direct experience of my true nature, so I'm forced to create, project, maintain, constantly. Project an image of me. But I think I'm the only one doing it because everyone else looks real. Sure. How could it be otherwise? Everyone else seems genuine, while you have some degree of awareness of your own inauthenticity, ranging from maybe none at all on any conscious level to a degree that could cause a meltdown.